And we go now to our man in Sonoma, who's standing by to bring us up to date on all things geopolitics, former naval intel officer John Jordan. I don't know where to start with this story, but I guess we'll deal with the acolytes later and deal with the story itself in terms of what the deal was first. So I guess maybe the best way of asking you this question, John, is do you see this as a breakthrough deal between Erdogan and Mr. Putin, or just an extension?
No, I think this is a very, very significant development, and it's quite possible this is a great development for the entire region.
I'm wondering, though, is this the kind of deal that will last, that will have people in the region feeling like they've got something now, they've got a structure to work with, which is really going to change the game there? Or is this just another deal that we'll look at later and say, yeah, they did a bunch of these?
No, I think it's a deal that can last because the parties involved all got what they really, really wanted. The Turks will have succeeded in pushing the Kurds further from the Turkish frontier. Erdogan will have a significant domestic political victory by doing this. Putin has saved essentially a longtime Russian client state in Bashar al-Assad and restored Russian diplomatic prowess to the region. The world now saw that Russia was able to step in on behalf of one of its client states successfully. And this will really mark the beginning of the end stages of the Syrian civil war. Now, the thing to watch here, Rick, and the great unknown is what happens with Iran. Iran was in Syria ostensibly to fight ISIS and to support Assad. Now that it looks like Assad is largely safe, are the Russians, the Syrian government, going to still want the Iranians there on Syrian soil? Now, the talking points released from the Erdogan-Putin meeting stated, among other things, that no foreign troops would remain there illegally. And how is Iran's forces, the Republican Guard, Quds, and several other entities, how are they going to be treated by the Syrians and Russians? That's the great question. You
know, another question that I have, and I got to mention this to you. I know you and I have these conversations all the time, but doesn't it frustrate you, as it does me as a news consumer, that we've been watching the coverage on our big networks here in the United States for a better part of the last week at least, where they've been all over Syria, Syria, Syria. Oh my God, poor Kurds, this is so dangerous. Somebody has to step in and do something. And whether you like Erdogan or whether you like Putin or whether you think they're both bums, they came in, they stepped in and did something, and it's been like crickets. The story has barely been covered, this deal. Should we be bothered by that as Americans?
Absolutely, and there's one place to look for this. The American media is obsessed with one thing, largely, and that is the success or failure of Trump, mostly rooting for his failure. So anything Trump does is always going to be criticized and attacked. Whether it's pulling out of Syria, he should have stayed in. He should have made more war, not less. So everything in the American media is seen through the Trump prism, largely, with the exception of some of the conservative media outlets.
But wait. Is it their hatred of Trump, or like of Trump, as you say, depending on how they play the story, or the fact that since Putin stepped in, they just don't want to cover Putin, where they have to, I guess, give him some kind of credit, right? After all, he's the devil to many of them.
Well, he's the devil, certainly, the leftist media, because he's the one they blame for, denying righteous Hillary her throne. But at the end of the day, it's the American media mostly wants to see Trump in the worst possible light, and any international development is going to be framed that way. Moreover, even on the conservative networks and the conservative media outlets, you have a lot of Americans, so-called foreign policy experts, who are deeply invested in the Iraq debacle and American military interventions in the Middle East. And so there's a lot of people who want to see Trump fail because it exposes their failures.
This is one of those stories that we can talk about for quite a while, but my producer is saying, okay, you boys have to stop, so we will. John Jordan, as usual, my thanks to you for the conversation.